Hey everybody, it's Joe Roberts with wines.com, and I'm here with some old souls in Lodi and a Salt vineyard it's probably the oldest one in Lodi. It's been continuously farmed since 1886, and it's called the Bechtold Vineyard. Some of the fruit from these really old, ancient, old souls here now goes into some interesting wines from Turley and Bonnie Doon. And that wasn't always the case. Actually, a lot of this fruit, until relatively recently, would go into some nondescript blend of wines. And the reason was the prices of the grapes until recently were fairly depressed. The name of the Lodi appellation maybe didn't have quite the cachet factor that it's starting to gain now. Fortunately, that situation is changing. And the reason I'm here and talking about the grapes and the wines they might go into is because I want to talk to you a little bit about wine prices. And a lot of people ask about, well, what is a wine worth a particular price, or why is this wine costs $120 and that wine costs $10? And there is no real short answer to that question, but I will try and encapsulate it in just a couple minutes here if I can. First of all, wine is a highly regulated product. And so we get a lot of interesting scenarios with different tiers of distribution and importation and retail. All of those will factor a little bit into the price of the finished product. One of the biggest things, though, are things like commodity prices of the grapes, transportation costs as well, and probably the biggest are things like land and labor. So when you look at situations in South America, for example, and you wonder how maybe you can get a really tasty wine for what seems like very little money. A lot of that actually has to do with the fact that land and labor costs are so low there at the moment that that really translates into ultimately a savings for you as a consumer. And so what you find is it's actually a pretty complex stream of things that build into the price of the wine. But ultimately, the thing that will most dramatically impact the price of any wine you buy is what you're willing to pay for it. Like any other luxury good, wine prices are mostly a matter of supply and demand. Some of the rarest, most celebrated wines of Burgundy can sell for thousands and thousands of dollars per bottle simply because not much of it is made, but a big fuss is made about those wines. And so when you get a situation where the wines are made from grapes, and the wine volume, the grapes are maybe from an area that isn't well known, and the wine volume is very, very big, you'll find prices, of course, of supply and demand might be a lot lower. Now, are those wines that come from storied vineyards and cost thousands and thousands of dollars a bottle, made in tiny production volumes, are they worth that kind of money? Well, that's where we get into the fact that ultimately what decides the price of a wine is what you're willing to pay for it. That's probably a question better suited for another day and probably several hours of video over several glasses of wine, so I'm not going to tackle it here. But hopefully this gave you some little bit of insight into kind of the complexities that go into a wine price and some of the things that factor into what that means when you're actually going to the shelf and picking up a bottle. So next time you do that and you see those prices, think about not only, from a supply and demand perspective what it means for you paying for that bottle, but some of the things that potentially could go into it. Till next time, cheers.